Mark Steyn is 100% correct when he says that white supremacists have more of a right to be in America than illegal aliens do. Because, first of all, one of these people uh, has had generations of their ancestors living in America, paying taxes, paying into the system, and the other person has not. And even the legal citizens from Mexico send something like 24, $25 billion outside of the country to Mexico. So even the legal ones are most likely a bigger detriment to your society than the white supremacist, right? And that's just the legal ones. So clearly the illegal ones cost you way more fucking money. And like Chris Cumio said, oh, the real threat is white supremacists. Like, really, that's just nonsense. They're a boogeyman. And like, I can't believe he says this after there was like that illegal alien guy who killed 2 cops or something like that. And then he's like, oh, I wish I killed more. And he's laughing in court, giggling, like, once I get it, I'll kill even more. Right? So they're like ignoring stories like this. There was another one where a legal guy who was deported like 7 different times stabbed somebody else in the neck, right? I think it was in California or something. So these are just stories recently in the news that just happened recently. And there are way more that they do not cover and bring attention to. And then they're acting like that one attack in Charlottesville is like the worst thing in the world. And nothing compares to it when it was one girl who got hit by a car. Admittedly, that's horrible. And, you know, I'm not one of these people who said she died from a heart attack. You know, she probably did die from the impact, right? But nonetheless, like, that is not as big of an issue as illegal immigration, which the illegal immigrants have probably killed way more people than white supremacists. And they actually cost your country way more money, billions of dollars, and they have no right to be there. So the left-wing media acting like Mark Steyn is crazy for saying this statement. They're just, you know, assholes, partisan, and there's partisan assholes, and they're trying to get it into people's mind that you're only an American citizen if you agree with the left-wing values, right? If you're a white supremacist, you know, they're like, oh, well, you don't follow our values, so you shouldn't even be in the country. Where it's like, you know what, you have freedom of speech, you have freedom of association in America, you know, you have these rights in order for people to be able to think differently. So even though somebody does think differently, they have just as much of a right to be in your country, especially if they've had ancestors there for a long time, right? Just because somebody supports your ideology doesn't mean they have more of a right to be in your country. And, you know, obviously the Democrats, they don't give a shit about illegals or anything like this. Like, they're calling them citizens and illegal, you know, undocumented citizens, whatnot, to try to change the language to make it seem like, you know, they should be here. You know, like, the word citizen should never be applied to them because that has a lot of meaning behind it. So they are illegal aliens and they cost you guys a lot of fucking money, and all the left wants them for is votes, right? And they're not going to make the illegals' life any better either, right? Because they're going to come here. Well, it'll be better than what they have in Mexico probably, but they're going to come here en masse, and then it's just going to stagnate wages for everybody, and eventually everybody's going to be needing the government even more, so they're going to vote for more liberals in power to increase the government spending, increase minimum wage, increase all these things, because they'll be importing so much low-skilled labor that it will stagnate the wages. So they'll be like, oh, we're forced to do this now because these evil corporations are not raising the wages, etc., right? It's their fault, so we need to put these taxes on them and make them pay more in money. But see, this is all they do, because once they do that, then they're going to have to implement other laws, because this is what's happening in Canada right now in Ontario. There's a $15 an hour raise, or a rate that has went up recently, like $3-4, and now all these businesses are like having to lay people off, all this shit. And what the liberals are coming out and saying is like, oh, it's just these evil businesses and they're not changing with the times, and we need to give more money to these people, and we need to invest more money in the system to fix this. So it's like everything they try to fix just creates more issues down the road they need to fix again. So they just keep creating incentive for you to have them around, right? And the more illegals that these Democrats bring in, the more crime that happens, the more justification they can have to, like, increase the police state. And that's good for Republicans too, because a lot of Republicans want that too. So that's why a lot of them have been essentially quiet on this stuff. And it's like, they are paid off by corporations too, who do want cheap labor. So these are the ones who are essentially driving the American policy. Is probably a lot of the corporations lobbying to the government because they want fucking cheap labor, right? So they're trying to sell you this bullshit that, oh, we're gonna be nice and let these people who are separating families and this and that. And it's like no, they just want these people. They just want to use them for their own benefit later on. That's all they want to do, and it's just gonna make everybody's life worse. Conceding to these illegal immigrants, whereas white supremacists are not at all a fucking issue, right? Like a lot of their, like the alt-right's ideology and stuff is never going to necessarily take hold in America anytime soon. So the bigger threat right now in America definitely is Hispanics coming across the border and essentially changing the demographics of America, because they don't have a good track record of living in non-socialist states, right? So, look at California, look at all these places. They're turning into fucking hellholes, shitholes because of these people. So it's not a bunch of white supremacists in California making it the highest poverty-stricken place in America, right? It's fucking the illegals that go there. And all these rich people, these rich liberals are like, oh yeah, we gotta bring them over. No, it's because they want cheap fucking maids that they can hire to clean their house for absolutely nothing, and then they'll pay them like these maids, the legal immigrant maids, are getting paid like tons of fucking money. They're making way more money than the average citizen, so they're getting a really good fucking deal out of it most of the time. So Mark Steyn is right. White supremacists have way more of a right to be there, and Cumio is wrong. They are not a threat. The bigger threat to your country are fucking illegal immigration, right? And even regular immigration. Mass immigration also needs to stop, right? Because that's also a massive issue. But that's another topic. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.